Taylor?
Started.
Okay. Everyone's mics working.
Good.
Alright. Quick audio sync clap. And we should be good. Alright. First start. Taylor, what was your initial review? What was your initial thoughts on Avatar 2 now that we walked out of it? You were saying on the car ride over here that you didn't think, like, you thought you had a different perspective on it than we did.
So yeah, I looked at some reviews that hopefully I wasn't fish out of water here, but the reviews have been high audience and tomato, like 85, 93 for audience, 78 for Rotten Tomato. It shouldn't speak the whole thing, but for me, I think my problem when I went in there, from remembering from the first one, that he kind of betrayed humanity. That's what I took from it. They're there to get resources to save Earth, and even in the second one, we won't try to spoil much, I'm assuming.
Oh no, it's been out for 2 weeks. My rule of thumb when it comes to spoilers is 2 weeks.
Okay.
You have 2 weeks. If it's not important enough to you to find
time get
in
it,
2 weeks,
and now you're listening to this.
No, so you could tell the story. You can spoil the whole thing.
The first one, they're out there, and they talk about the second one, how they're there to save humanity. It's dying. Earth's dying. We gotta colonize this. And the first one, the resources is a rare energy material, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. The first one was unobtainium.
Yeah,
It was unobtainium. It was a magical, not a magical rock, but it was
second
pretty
one.
much. It's every other
like
show.
A second thought, like it wasn't even. Why did they even add that kind of thing to me? We'll get to that later. But I always latched on to, I'm on humanity's side. So I got the story right away in the first one. I'm like, oh, this guy's betrayed him, but that was the end of it. I never expected 2 to come out, really.
So there's a philosophical question to kind of ask you there is, how deep do you expect loyalty to happen at a species level? Like, how deep does loyalty have to exist at a species level before individualism, because in the first movie, he doesn't just say, I hate humanity, screw humanity over.
Yeah.
No, he fell in love. He wanted to start something new. He fell in love with the world. He fell in love with the blue chick. And then
he got legs.
And
he got legs.
That's a big, yeah.
That was probably 80%
he got legs.
of it.
So you gotta. So I mean, like, I'm gonna call you out on that a little bit. It's like, is there any level of loyalty that is expected from this character? And you might have a level of loyalty to humanity, but do you expect that same commitment out of this character?
I think you should out of him, because wasn't he in the military? He was born
He was
and
a
raised
grunt,
to serve
yeah.
his country.
He was a military
and then
grunt,
he
yeah.
betrays it all. Like, I don't remember watching it was quite a few years ago, but I don't remember much incentive for him to betray his country that he served.
The first one's been compared to Dances with Wolves, Dances with Smurfs. It's a lot easier to understand Kevin Costner's character going to the natives, same species,
Yeah.
than it is for Sully's character to join the Na'vi.
No,
Totally different species.
but now we gotta. Okay, if we're gonna go down that bridge, which we have to explore that. Do we talk about now Cartman and the Smurfs from South Park? Do we elaborate? Do we go that deep? Because we're talking about 3 stories that fundamentally they're the same story. They are the outcast character finding a more appropriate home for himself, and the conflict that comes from that. So I mean, I guess. So Taylor, the original question was, what expectations can we have of this character for loyalty's sake?
It's the same thing. Like I was bringing about how he's a grunt and a soldier. I mean, he was trained probably almost his whole life. We don't know his upbringing, but if he's going to join the military, you can't just chuck assumptions everywhere, but you should assume at least he should be loyal to the death to his country. Like you saw these other Marines were. They were like, we're here to serve our country, and that's our planet, our Earth.
Our Earth.
We're here to serve that. And it's like, I don't remember, and someone's probably gonna, anyone could point it out. Maybe you guys know where that turn was. Maybe it was when he linked to the tree as the Na'vi when he was in that body.
Well,
maybe that changed him. and I can get behind that.
I'll let
He
I'll let
pretty much
Cody.
changed like day one of being a Navi because he gets lost in the jungle, and then what's her face finds him.
Helps him.
And then he
Yeah.
spends the night there, and it's pretty much like he's on board.
He's and there might be more character development. Like I said, maybe
it's
he
not like
hooks
a
to the
media
tree.
patrol,
Maybe
but-
he's like, oh yeah, I'm learning about this. I linked to the tree. Now I'm linked to this world.
He links at the end.
I get that, but the reason I have such issues with this, I didn't like the movie, to be honest.
Okay.
And the reason is, I latched on pretty early. I was Team Human, and
You should know going into it
if
that
you
it's
do
all
that-
about the Navi.
oh, if you do that, you'd start seeing a lot of problems between the plot armor. There's just
So when you saw in this movie when all the Marines just start dying like flies
and right.
because all the Marines just got it taken out all their tickets started getting
and they're
punched.
trained Marines, the best of the best who are here. They couldn't hit a shot.
And they're blue.
None of them.
They should be better.
I watched
They
the
should
whole
be better.
time
Yeah.
to see if I could see any of the Navi, even the no-name guys. I saw one. I was watching. He got hit when he was flying in on his whatever.
I thought you were gonna say that.
Very
his,
end.
His bird got hit. His
So he
fish
didn't even
thing
get
got
hit.
hit. He didn't get hit.
Okay, because
Not
I
a
saw
s-
him go down. I'm like,
Not a single Native
Finally.
Navi got not
Finally
a
one
single
died.
Navi
Well,
was
there
killed.
was one big one. His son.
well, that's to drive story plot. So I'm like, at least one got hit.
At least one, yeah. I mean,
Where
so,
did the whole Navi army go? Though
That's what I was thinking too.
It
because
just
they
disappeared.
Taruk Maktal, when he's the main character of movie 1, chapter 1, he becomes Taruk Maktal by dominating this super dragon thing.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah, that
he
makes sense.
flies from continent to continent. I'm pretty sure literally continent to continent. Trying to figure this shit out, trying to figure out who's going to be on his side in this big battle against the Marines,
The Sky People.
against the Sky People. And he, for the most part,
And then in this one, it's like he never even met the sea dude before.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, well, no, he acknowledged his
heard.
exist. What's that?
He said he heard of him.
He
Oh yes.
Never
did he
met.
say heard?
Didn't he
Yeah.
say I've heard of your
I'm-
great war, great fight, or something like that?
Well, everyone's heard Sully's tale, but
Yeah.
Sully was saying once they were getting there, in his narration, he basically introduced the leader, saying he heard of this guy. He seems like a good, strong leader, and never
Well-
met the guy.
well, and the
So
fish
I don't
people.
know what the hell he was doing at the end of the first one.
Well, the fish people probably would have had very little to contribute in that
the
fight.
forest.
In the forest. Yeah, forest people don't go to fish people, and fish people
Well,
don't go to
that
forest
was
people.
at the very end after the battle and shit that he was going from continent to continent. It was just the forest people that helped in the first one.
Yeah.
He went on his big bird to multiple places to rally troops. Whether they were all forest people or mountain people or different tribes or whatnot, I don't know that it matters, but he did travel with the bird to acquire allies.
Other allies.
He did
And
do
you got to
that.
at least assume he went to them to ask, and they're like, "No, we're good."
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that happened after the big battle.
Why? Why would that happen after the?
Just
Because immediately after the big
unite
battle,
the clans, because I think he thought that they would be back.
Oh,
well,
So
they
there's
were-
kind
I
of some
can't remember.
continuity and some because it's been 13 years since the first one,
yeah.
so it's like I don't know.
Okay, I'll give that one to you. You might be right. I mean,
I
you
don't know if I am, but I usually am.
Yeah, you're always something. So, I mean, as far as Taylor, I was going to bring up something when you said you watched this movie and you were kind of Team Human the whole way.
And I shouldn't have latched onto it so soon, but it just kept digging my feet into the ground the more I watched, because nothing ever bad happened to the Navi people besides, like, I get they, like, raided and, like, burned their houses down, but
None of them died.
none of them died. And
They
never,
killed a few fish
They killed a couple fish. And, it's
and a
like,
whale.
I'm not here, not that I want them to start exterminating the race, but it's like,
I mean,
Nothing's
we
going-
can bring back the reservations.
We can bring back the Navi reservations. Yeah, we can.
it just,
But I mean, that's
What I
kinda-
didn't get though is why not once Sully leaves the area that they're building and whatnot, why not just take out that tribe that's there? now?
exactly.
He's
And
not-
so I was going to bring that up.
that was something that they
because
did.
he's no longer the
He's not
leader of the
chief.
resistance or
and
anything.
and the main goal, I get the sergeant, whatever that character's name was, who got killed by
Quidditch.
I get lust for revenge. He wanted to get back at him, but wasn't the main
Quidditch. It's not Quidditch. It's
Quidditch.
Quaritch.
Close enough.
It's Quaritch.
Quidditch wanted to get back at him, for revenge, but their main goal was to subdue the natives so they could get a foothold.
Okay.
Why not stay there in the forest where they're close to?
I want to ask something. So, I mean, I want maybe I'll push my thought back a little bit later, but you tend to watch a lot of movies that, I mean, we talk about seriously from the perspective of the other side.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean,
He's a contrarian.
well, I mean, is that normal for you, or is that just two very specific instances that people obviously don't know about at this point from this podcast? But I mean, we'll get into the Avengers and the Marvel universe later, but
I always grasp onto the motives.
When the villain has a good point.
If he has a solid motive, or if you can figure out and get at least maybe not approve, but get behind of their actions, like that makes sense. I get why he's doing that. Like, I understood what Quidditch was doing. He wanted revenge. He wanted to get, but he's at a heart again. He's a soldier. Their mission was to subdue the natives.
yeah.
Why is he? Did they? You guys watched it twice. Did they say why he was important? Jake was important.
That
was
Because he was the
important to go
leader.
get?
He was the leader.
He's not anymore.
Yeah, and then he wasn't. So why would they still go?
Why would they care?
Well, so Jake Sully, for the character's perspective, he is the only Na'vi who understands military tactics from the side of the Marines.
So he's a big threat, is what they think.
Yeah, it'd be like if a U.S. general went and joined Russia and taught them all of our tactics and
Okay.
stuff like that. It would be a more significant threat than just the forces of Russia, or just the forces of whatever army we're opposing at that time.
Okay.
know?
Are you forcing
Is
that
that
continuity to make
Is
sense?
that my guess? Are you asking
Okay.
me, is that my guess?
Yes.
Yes, that's my guess, because
And
it's
that's-
not obvious that that's the case.
No.
But it makes the most sense to me.
Okay, I can get behind that. I just needed. You can say that and the thirst for revenge, because all those Marines are like, he betrayed us, he killed us, he was our brother. Let's go get him. I could get behind that too.
So me and Cody actually talked about
I
this.
just need something to get behind and grasp
What
onto.
about? My big problem is though, why would Quidditch want to even become an Avatar?
He didn't.
When he hates them.
He so didn't. Like, you see his reaction
But he's-
right away. He's like,
yeah, but he's
son
cool
of a.
with it. Like,
Well, he's
Why
was he
so
gonna
blue? Why
was
so
he gonna
blue?
shoot himself in the head? I mean,
I don't know. I'd be.
it's your life now. You got to deal with
I
it.
guess. I guess.
Well, I mean, if you were that much drank the Kool-Aid, and this isn't meant to be derogatory, but if you were that into being a Marine that you could literally be a clone and have perfectly functioning psychological status,
Yeah.
then yeah, you're probably just accepting that
Yeah,
that
he-
you are blue, and that
From
is
what I got of it, right away he was like, "Son of a, well, this is my life now. Just get past it," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he started punching all the blue people right away, all his Marine buddies.
It was-
Well,
yeah,
I
he
think
starts
I think
swinging.
that's with everyone when they first enter Avatar. Oh, I almost said Avatar State. when they first become conscious as an Avatar, that they kind of just don't get their surroundings. right
Okay.
away.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's been a few years since I've seen the first one, so
you got to think that feeling of being awake as a human, laying down, and then waking up in another place. You got to think
That's
that's
a
a
different
sense of
species.
teleportation.
it's
to you.
it's probably your flight or fight instincts probably kick in a bit.
Oh, absolutely. And I
And
mean,
he's gonna fight.
in his memory cube or
Actually,
whatever
yeah.
his memory cartridge was, I mean, that was the last memory he had was probably what he thought was happening, and then something completely opposite was happening. at
Yeah,
whatever
because
moment.
his last memory was in that lab, and he's like, "Well, I'm about to go out. You won't remember
Right.
what I'm about to do." So he probably thought,
Well, then he got the gist of it from the dash cam.
probably.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Lobo thing.
But you were kind of asking when Jake Sully's conversion began.
Yeah.
I
His
personally,
transition.
his transition, his switch.
Into blueness.
Well, it definitely started when he started taking the hormones.
That's cultural
Um,
appropriation.
Okay, I guess if I had to isolate a moment in the entirety of the Avatar story thus far where he made a hard conversion, it was probably when he fell in love with Neytiri. That affection that grows, and you have this. He started to fall in love with the things he was doing, not so much her specifically, but
Yeah.
they were having experiences together.
Yep.
And he saw that the moment where he hard switched was when he attacked the machine that was devastating the forest.
For sure.
And he had just
But that
woken
was
up
right after they,
where they boinked.
where they boinked.
Yeah, they boinked.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
going to say, I think the hard
It's supposed to
version
whip after
was when
that,
they linked into the tree.
'Cause
then-
that happens later.
Isn't that the mother
Cody brought
tree?
that up. That
Yeah,
happens
the mother
later.
tree, that happens like at the end of the movie
Oh, is
after
it?
Sigourney
Okay.
Weaver
It's
dies.
further out, yeah.
Okay.
But my thought
Because
is
it ends with him waking up as an avatar then. It zooms into his face, just like how this movie ended.
Okay.
I'm convinced that Jake Sully's character probably, from the perspective of the Marines, probably could have been brought back. He probably could have been, okay, you destroyed a camera because you had your little mini tantrum and freak out. He probably could have gotten like a pass and brought back and been like, you had
Oh,
a
yeah.
little episode, you're going back to Earth. And I think it could have been ended there. But
Quick sidebar. They can make humans immortal now, but they couldn't fix his fucking legs 10 years ago?
didn't you hear they made more progress in 1 year than the last 30? They were
Yeah,
very
it's
honest about
fair
that.
enough, fair
They're
enough.
very honest and upfront about the level of progress they made.
That
in
was
1
on
in 10
Pandora,
years.
though.
Yeah.
It wasn't all human technology.
No, I'm sure that they meant it.
There's still a space travel, but
Well-
you can't walk, you're fucked.
Well, to be fair, I mean, like, who cares about who cares about people
Oh, yeah,
with
okay.
no legs?
James Cameron can't do the best writing.
James Cameron. I actually, so this is something I wanted to get to. I think the hard conversion, just my position on this, is that the hard conversion happened when he was trapped into his decision. He busted a camera on the big like leveling machine, the big thing, and then he was trapped into that decision after that. And I think he didn't believe there was any reconciliation option. And I think that even the Marines didn't think there was a reconciliation option. He betrayed us. He busted our $100 camera. It's
It's over.
He's got to die. He's got to
This is it. We're killing him.
He's got to die. So, I want to move on to the
The bulldozer guy was shooting a vlog, and you just totally fucked it up.
Yeah. Tumblr is pissed. Does anyone think that this isn't Sam Worthington or Zoe Zalanda's best performance?
I mean, Zoe is good in pretty much everything she does. Sam's kind of hit and miss, but I think he was really good in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I believed him as that badass dad.
I did too. I think Zoe's character is I think her moment when the son dies and she is reconciling that moment, and she
She
picks up
cries
her
like
bows.
that like 6 times throughout the 2 movies so far, where she just loses it. It's
But
like
the-
the go-to for her, I guess.
But
Yeah.
I do think this one stands apart as probably one that I will remember. Probably an acting moment from her that I will remember. And maybe that's just me not.
Knowing her back catalog.
Well, what's her
Yeah,
back
I
catalog?
guess I don't know what's the other kind of.
So
films
what's
she's
her
in.
film roster? So she's obviously in Star Trek. I don't
Avatar.
think there's anything of value in the Star Trek trilogy beyond just an enjoyable popcorn film.
Lens flares.
Who? What?
Lens flares.
Who's Lens Flares?
J.J. Abrams' directing technique, where there's always a lens flare going across.
Lens flare. Oh, there you go.
Oh, your point. Okay, I gotcha. But what is her?
She's in both. Yeah, isn't she? Is she Gamora?
Yeah, she's Gamora.
She is Gamora.
And she's good in that.
There should be like a filmography here.
You passed it a
You
long time
passed
ago.
it. It was way up top.
Okay.
Known
Okay, I
for-
guess it's known for it, but there should be more than 4 things
Is
here.
it under?
Down. What the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so
She's playing Gamora
That's
again.
right.
she's playing Gamora, something called Avatar 3. So she's gonna be. So
Oh, yeah.
good news is she's confirmed. There's 5 movies
guys,
on the
guess-
ballot.
Oh, yeah.
What? Spoiler alert for Avatar 4, she's not gonna die.
No shit.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
They're announcing the cast 4 movies ahead.
Spoilers, everybody.
Okay, so those are upcoming. The previous movies.
I was kind of hoping they'd focus more on the kid in the next
And
one.
you know,
Yeah.
I heard other reviewers, because I watched other stuff, saying that they thought the same thing you just said. They
Yeah.
thought they'd start focusing on the kids and away from them. But
I mean, I
season-
still want Sam to
3
be in
more
the
movies.
part and whatnot, but I think they would slowly transition into the kids
And I'd be
being the main
surprised
ones.
if one of them. Well, obviously not the mom anymore, but if Sam doesn't get the axe here soon, I mean, you can't keep him around for 5 more movies, or I mean, you can. But
I mean, I like the guy, but he's been in some shit movies too.
So I'm not dissing her, but I'm not seeing many movies
I'm
here
not either.
that I'm recognizing. So
The
I mean, like
Losers
she's
is
got a
good.
huge catalog. I mean, this isn't nothing. Going back to 2004, there's 40 movies here.
Drumline. She's in Drumline.
There's something like 40, maybe 50 films here since
Yeah, she's-
since 2004. So I mean, it's not like she's not working her ass off to be in stuff and try to make decent
But
stuff.
like you just said, I don't really notice anything.
I know her big roles in Guardians, obviously. I know Atom Project. I thought she was fine in that. Obviously the Marvel Universe, she was relevant
My
in
Little
that.
Pony, nice.
My Little Pony.
I
Yep.
Killed Giants was
And
terrible.
that was her best performance.
I Killed Giants.
No,
It's-
My Little Pony.
My
Oh,
Little
shit. Honestly, I think Guardians of the
There's
Galaxy,
some
Star
Star
Trek Into
Treks.
Darkness. Maybe there's a couple of movies in here I'm just not picking up on. Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
That was a very small.
She is
Small.
small.
Oh, she was probably just one of them pirates that
Like at the bar. or something.
Sartosa.
She
or
was
whatever
the
it
pirate that didn't do anything. She
What?
just. Sorry, I had to get that. one.
Pirates of the
I'm
Caribbean.
trying to figure out when they started shooting this one because
The third one, or
no,
the second one?
2 and 3 were shot back to back. I'm
Oh,
wondering
okay.
When they started, because it's been 13 years, and it was almost announced immediately that there'd be more movies after the first one.
So I mean, do you think they'll rally after this one?
Oh, I think so right away. I think within a year they were going to release the next movie.
So
But depending on box office sales.
Way of Water's release date was the 18th. Is that the official? Was that the date of release? The official theater release date?
Last
The 18th?
Thursday.
Last Thursday.
It's only been a week.
Last Thursday, the 15th. Okay. So it's only been okay. So last Thursday,
They
the 15th.
started shooting in 2017.
Right.
Just some little minor stuff here and there.
It
Yeah.
actually went up in popularity this week.
Yeah, it's made 134 million in its opening weekend alone.
Domestic. It's
That-
at
is it
660
yeah,
worldwide.
domestic. So, I mean,
660 worldwide.
I'd be surprised if they didn't release the next one real soon, just to start grabbing that cash.
Well, it's got a lot of post production because the whole movie takes place inside of a computer.
Well, here's the thought. Here's my thought process: is that Cody, you brought up that the World Cup happening last weekend was a significant factor in.
Everyone's watching that.
Yeah.
Around the world, anyway.
Yeah, that's a significant factor
US
in why
doesn't
people
care
are
that
not
much.
going to go
Especially
from
in Europe.
World Cup to Avatar. They're not going to go sit down and watch the 3-hour Avatar
After
And
watching
miss
that,
football
or
all day.
well, and even if you're watching all day, yeah, if you're watching the rest of the world's football,
Yeah.
not ours, the rest of the world's football, and you have a day full of that.
Not enough.
You're doing wings and chips,
Yeah.
dip, and
Whatever they call it over
whatever
there.
they do overseas to celebrate football. I don't know if they do wings and stuff, but
Fish and chips.
fish and
'cause
chips
it's
probably.
Not America.
But if you're doing that, if you have a day planned for that, there's nowhere in your weekend you're going to go
No
sit
way.
down and watch a 3-hour movie. So we're predicting it is Friday at 2 p.m. the week after release. Are any of us predicting this movie's going to have a better second weekend than first?
I think it'll have a better second weekend. The problem is, does it make money though? Because this movie costs $350 to make.
Oh,
You have
goodness.
to double that,
You have to
plus-
double that to make profit, correct?
yeah,
Or
to make
something
profit,
like that.
and then all the marketing that goes along with it. Which I don't know if there's a shitload of marketing because I wasn't
Not
seeing
that
a
I've
bunch of
really
stuff.
seen.
Listen, most reviewers that I love and respect talk about marketing budgets.
It's you
But
can
I don't-
basically say the marketing almost costs as much as how much the movie was.
I don't know, okay.
So
I
it could
believe
be
you.
up to
I believe you, but I don't know that
700
could
million.
possibly. I don't know that could possibly be true. Because how many normies know about these movies in advance? Like, how many people are paying attention and figuring out new video games that are coming out or new movies that are coming out? Unless it's the new big movie, what are we talking about for these budgets for marketing? I don't see these movies anywhere.
well.
Is it just because my content is on YouTube? Because Netflix doesn't advertise.
Well, apparently, like Black Adam, how much advertising did you see for that movie?
Almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, like all of Times Square was just full of Black Adam stuff.
I saw lots of
we
stuff
live
on
in-
YouTube.
We're in North Dakota,
But there are content creators who say they can get a billboard in New York for $1,000. Like
It's
it's
nothing.
billboards are getting cheaper.
I don't know.
My only point I'm trying to make here is that it seems to me that with Hulu not doing ads, with Netflix not doing ads, and I say not doing ads, I mean they are doing it, but people don't want to watch them, so they're paying for the alternative.
To skip ads to get rid of all that stuff still goes to the ad person or whatever, I think.
So it goes
because if you're paying to skip ads, it's still ad revenue that goes to them.
Right, but the audience attention isn't there. So are industry professionals really oblivious to the fact that your main advertising pattern originally was network television, cable television? Mm-hmm. That's how you got your advertisements out. People were watching whatever show or what they were. Then the trailer comes out, and people either went to the kitchen to go grab a snack during their favorite show, or they watched your trailer. But it seems like today there's...
Yeah, they totally skipped trailers today at the movie.
Trailers are skipped everywhere. I can't imagine that these marketing budgets are not taking that into account.
Yeah, we were all in... Did they have trailers the first time you guys went to see it?
Yes. Oh, that's another thing.
That's the Oppenheimer trailer.
My
goodness, it was...
Today at our local theater, there were no trailers in front of our premiere of this movie.
It started and we all looked at each other and I was like, "Is this a trailer for something?" And then
I didn't
one of you guys
realize
who've
you
seen
said
it,
Avatar video game.
they're like, "Oh, the movie's starting." I'm like,
"Where's the trailers?"
They're okay. I'm like, "Here we go."
It really was a bit bizarre. That's the first time I think I've ever seen that. I've been to a movie where the lights were on after the movie had started because
there's something
just didn't sync up, or the person didn't turn the light off, or whatever they do. But I mean, it was very weird to not have trailers.
It was odd.
I was a little surprised by the people who went with us reaction, because I'm not going to name either of the people who came with us, but I think we'd consider both of them normies.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so your guest's reaction was literally crying at the brother's death, and my guest's reaction,
chuckles here and there,
and my guest's reaction didn't laugh at all.
Dead silent the entire movie.
When he sits down and enjoys a film, he tells you he loved that film when he walked out of the theater. He tells you he thought it was so funny. He thought it was so good.
What did he say? I never got his comments of what he said.
He told me he had to get to a haircut.
So
3 hours after 3 hours, I think most normies are just...
They're done with it.
Yeah.
But I was about a half hour left in the movie, too. I was realizing that there wasn't a whole lot of audience engagement into the movie.
Sure.
So I'm just, my first thought was, your guess is, not really into it at all.
I think that, and honestly, the latter half of the film is the more action-packed. I think there's an unreasonable amount of time in the middle of the film where they're teaching each other to ride dolphins.
Each act is an hour. So as soon as that the final battle or whatever was starting, and checked my phone, I was like, all right, an hour left.
We got an hour left. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I thought there was a lot of... That was another gripe I think I have.
Do you think Act 2 lasted too long?
I do. I think it's just, you could cut a half hour, I think, of fluff out of there between them teaching him how to breathe in water.
Yeah, there's some...
a little bit about him and the whale having a relationship. Again, at the end, he came back, so it was important. I get that. But, he went back and, he's an outcast because of this reason. And then they show you that reason. Why have any of that? Why not all those whales come in, or whatever they were called?
Because the army and the whales just disappeared.
And then he could see a whale, have a relationship with them, and it's all in that same part where they came back. It was a whole 20 minutes of that didn't need it in there, in my opinion.
Speaking of the whales, we mentioned before we went to the movie that there was this really cringe part.
Did you pick up on that?
Which part was it? There was a couple of
okay, but I don't feed him it. Let's see if he can get there on his own. Can you identify the moment where our eyes were rolling in that blacked out theater?
There was a couple parts and it always had to do with the daughter and her weird force powers she had somehow.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that, but that's not the specific moment we were
talking about. Those were always of course.
Okay. She's connected to the world. Girl.
Somehow she can magically make a mushroom.
Look, prediction. She is the Jesus of Awa.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
The Virgin Mary avatar had a baby, and she is the female Jesus blue person.
And it's 70-year-old
and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That moment in the film did freak me out. I did tell Cody this the first time we watched it, when Sigourney Weaver's character's talking to the daughter, and she's like, "Ip, ip, 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 ip," and then her just ethereal form just vanishes like into the background. She's having that seizure.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, she has a human disease."
Yeah.
She has epilepsy.
She's got a human disease.
Yeah, it's not magic. It's not space magic.
Yeah.
No, but
But the part we're talking about does involve the whales.
it's a very specific moment with the
It's
whales.
the first time a whale does a thing.
I don't think I'm gonna get it.
It fucking talks, bro.
That's right. I thought that was.
I love the way you said that. It's like, I'm done with this. It does talk.
After watching this movie too, all that's in my mind is bro and cuz, because they talk like fucking California
They
kids
sure
too.
do. They like are saying "K cuz," and you're like, what
I don't
are
know
you
if it was who was I talking
about?
to? Was it Cody? Was it you that I was talking to about this? Someone brought this to my attention. Colton. Colton brought this to my attention. He was saying how one of the reviews he was seeing was that they were saying bro and cuz too much. And I was
They
like,
sure were.
Well, here's my thing.
Well, they were raised by Jake Sully. That's my kind of thing. He's from Earth.
Well, it's not the language. It is
It's
the
our
translation of the
interpretation
language.
of it. Ah.
When you have an interpreter who transcribes the entire Na'vi language down on paper, comes back to Earth, and he's reading this in a way that the Earthlings can frickin' understand, it's gonna be he's saying bro and cuz. It's their slang for what they are to each other.
But that should be the film's responsibility and not someone outside just after the movie coming up with an idea of why they would talk that way.
I think I agree with you, and honestly, young people piss me off, so I don't accept the idea that this is how they should be speaking in the first place. But, I mean, if there was TikTok in outer space, this is how they'd be talking.
That's exactly how they'd be talking.
They'd say
Cuz,
like and
bro.
and cuz.
You know we're older when we're not even doing the what's popular now. Like, it's lit.
It is.
What do you think an Avatar video game would
I don't know,
look
Avatar
like?
2 is so mid.
I think it'd straight up be kind of like an Assassin's Creed.
They already have one.
Well, what do you think a good Avatar video game?
I don't know, there's one that came out like a couple weeks before the first movie
They
came out.
have an Avatar game?
Yeah. And it looked alright. I never played it. It was almost like open worldish.
Wrong
That's
one.
not incorrect.
Frontiers of Pandora by Ubisoft. Okay.
Incorrect.
It's like where you just kind of roam around, take missions from different people, but it
Well,
looked
the visuals are
generic
actually
as fuck. Because this one is
I
not.
thought that was the movie.
This one is not the old.
See, that's
game
more video gamey. Okay. Avatar Frontier
first look trailer.
from Ubisoft. It's gonna be another Assassin's Creed.
I called it.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, it's okay. So it isn't out yet. This is announced.
No, I'm talking about the one that came out before the first movie, 2009.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see that one.
But this one's gonna end up being like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry.
Oh, for
'cause
sure. It's gonna
every
be an open
Ubisoft
world.
game-
Well, if it's made by Ubisoft,
yeah, they all play the same.
I like video games that have like a ground to air flight mechanic. Like when your character takes off and actually can fly in meaningful ways. Not when you start a mission as a ship, but like when you actually have the capacity to fly around maps. I like that.
Yeah.
There are very few
And then
games.
the Hogwarts one you can on your broom.
What's that?
And then
That
the
Harry
Hogwarts-
Potter. Fuck off with that Harry Potter game. No one gives a
It's-
shit.
It looks cool.
It's called Avatar the
The
game.
game.
Real creative name we
were
got
very
there.
creative back
For
in
the
09.
Xbox 360.
Okay.
Was it exclusive? Oh.
I don't know. I got an Xbox. Good, maybe backward compatibility.
Oh, okay. I do remember, and honestly, even for an Xbox 360 game, that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, from 09.
Yeah, you got your you got your mini map there. I mean, this is actually looks like the start of a level. So,
Yeah,
I
you can
mean,
play it as the humans or the Na'vi. We
Well,
know.
you can
We
do
all
either,
know.
huh?
We all
We all know which
Taylor
one I
picked.
would play.
So
You
here's
gotta get after the natives.
yeah. So here's the deal. That does look like a good game to me.
Gotta take out the hostiles.
I sure do.
Although, what's that? There's a game like, oh my gosh, like Tiki Juju or something like that. It's an old.
Is that a slur or something?
Yeah, Tiki Juju. Get out of my house, you Tiki Juju. No,
They keep on changing the box office.
I cannot remember what that game is, but
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I
this
just checked it.
the
It was like
backdrop of this looks
550 million.
familiar to me. But an Avatar video game with good flight mechanics matters to me a lot. There was a Sword Art Online video game for PlayStation 4, and the game is trash. The game is horrible. But I did try it because I had an interest in SAO, and the monsters were stupid. There was no story that I could tell, and it just was terrible mechanics across the board. But there was a flight mechanic in the game because it was right after the Alfheim, like kind of second arc of Sword Art Online, where they are like fairy people and they actually can fly. The flying mechanics in that game were awesome. I do like games with a very fun flying mechanic, like a ground to sky fly mechanic, not just where you start the mission as a plane.
Well, back to the movie, because I just saw this character's name pop up. What did you think of Spider?
Wow. Okay, he's shaking his head.
The whole.
I hated that character.
Oh, I just very disliked it too. I didn't get what the point of it was.
It's
you know, the
so
relationship
weird
with the
having a
father.
human doing Navi kind of things.
Oh my
It was
goodness!
It was really cringe, and I don't know.
awful.
Like, was the point of his existence in this story to make Quaritch's character
Have conflict.
have conflict?
Give
Was
it
that the
footage.
reason?
I think
Well,
so. I think so.
you're Taylor. You're looking at it from the perspective of the bad guys. You tell me.
Yeah.
The think they needed him in there to make the villain Quidditch have a human side there, to have
Conflict.
some emotion and conflict in there. Because at the end, when he's like, "Oh, I don't care about him. Do it, whatever,"
Yeah, and
and then
his
he's
bluff
like,
gets
well,
called.
and you're like,
Well, she was about to kill him too, and then Spider just goes right back to that family. Like,
Yeah.
no, like,
"You're so good that
can you
I'm
keep
about to
her
get-
away from me?
I'm about to get stabbed by her, but don't kill her over there."
Well, and there's
What?
there's a very specific moment where he
Talking about
shows genuine fear of her. Like when she's when she's going
Is that
just
when they first encountered
No, it's when the
Marines?
son died.
when the son dies, they're on the boat, they're fighting. I can't remember her name. Her.
Why can't I now? I said it
That
earlier.
lady.
All right, screw this. Okay,
Not
so
not
Natiri.
Natiri.
Holy smokes, 3 of us, and we all just watched it for 3 hours.
Well,
That's
I'm
how-
still struggling.
that's
with
how
the-
good
that
with
movie
the
was.
main kid's name.
But anyway,
I don't remember
when
any of
she
them.
has her, when she attacks the Marines and she goes completely wild and breaks
Just-
the bow.
Monster
Psycho.
mode.
Monster mode, yeah. When she goes monster mode,
monster mode.
Spider is sitting there hiding behind the barrel, and he is pissing his pants. He is so afraid of her.
and she's just murdering people.
Yeah, and then he's just back to family mode.
And of course, she can't miss a shot with a bow flying on a dragon 100 miles an hour.
His
but
name is Jack
Jack Champion.
Jack Champion.
that is. Never mind, redeemed. That's a
Never
good name.
Champion.
We'll get off the complaints on him.
Alright, he's badass.
What is his deal? Okay.
IQ's a surfer bro that they found on the beach, and then they just casted him.
Champion.
What? He was in Avengers. Kid on bike.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he was Kid on bike.
I remember a kid on
You
bike.
know Kid on bike.
What sucks is he's coming back as in
Well,
3.
maybe he'll die in 3. I mean,
Maybe.
I believe in you, champion.
Okay, I'm gonna top cast. I'm not gonna find him in top cast.
You're
yet.
not
No.
gonna find kid
He's
on
gonna be
I have
bike.
the entire Avengers ensemble, and I'm gonna try to find Kid on bike in here. It's not gonna go very well.
Because you got Natayam's oldest, and then Loak? I think that's the other brother.
The other one,
The
showcasting.
the disappointment. And then Sigourney Weaver plays the magic chick.
So bad.
And then the kid, what was her name again?
I just didn't.
Turk T? Something T.
2 stars. And
I'm not giving it 2 stars. I liked it.
and I was gonna ask you guys' thoughts on it too, because
I give it a 7.
we dove on my giving it
Took.
crap.
Okay.
It's Took.
Took
Oh, that's okay. She's got a full name here. That's why
took
I
3
was-
hours of my life away. That's what happened.
I don't know. Out of 10, I'd give the movie a 7. It's entertaining. It's got I mean, the plot's pretty much the same as the first one.
It really was. I mean, I gotta watch it again. Like
It's the
Jimmy
same
said, he
beats.
came into it after watching it again with better
Yeah, he likes to do
perspective more.
Okay, so here's the thing. The first time I watched it, I was talking to Cody. I said 7.5, maybe even an 8. This cemented it for me as an 8. And let me just, because obviously you guys disagree, but let me defend my answer here a little bit. We all agree that the two main characters, this was one of, if not their best, one of their best performance from each of them. Right? I asked you guys that. It didn't sound like there was much debate about whether or not their performance was great. I think even the kids and the other characters all acted well.
Yeah, I liked all of them.
So we got decent.
I like the family.
I have almost
Yeah.
zero complaints in the acting.
Okay.
It was the story and the plot armor for me.
Okay, yes, the plot armor is a problem, but the main cast, the family, they suffered a death at the end of this film. So the characters that mattered did suffer a penalty. There was a consequence in this movie.
For sure.
So that for me solidifies the fact that there was a consequence to this movie. There was a loss and a payoff. There was story in this movie, and I'm happy with that. Was it good? Was it dragged out? Maybe a little too long.
None of the characters had an overall arc. They're the same from the beginning and they're the same at the end.
I think I'm going to disagree just a bit. The failure of the kid, we talked about a joke earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to overcome that a bit and
He's
fill
still not-
into a role that he feels accepted by his father.
Yeah.
So the whole thing he started.
He's still. So Jake tells him to stay there after the brother's dead, and he still ignores.
And so he's still being defiant, but I'm saying his father, he feels accepted by his father
But
more
this-
because.
I suppose.
There's actually another moment with the older brother too, because the older brother has a moment of defiance when they're at the old wreckage. You know, when his mom
Correct.
Natiri is in the
Oh,
crosshairs
yeah,
of the sniper, and he left the birds to go and save the family. So it's like.
First
it-
time watching, I thought that was son number 2, and then I caught it this time.
So did I.
So here's the thing,
I thought
it's like
that's who it was.
So this movie,
'Cause
it
all
teaches
look
you a
alike,
lesson.
All right.
When you disobey orders and it works out, you're a good boy.
It's awesome.
When you disobey orders and it
Doesn't work out.
yeah, you're a bad boy.
So always
You're a
disobey.
bad boy.
That's what we've learned. Always disobey orders.
Always disobey orders, and 50% of the time you'll
It'll
be good.
work out.
It'll work out. The rest
You
of the
miss
time,
all
your
the
brother's
shots
gonna
you
get
don't
murdered.
take.
You may not intend for it,
Yeah,
but the
you
rest of
miss-
your time, your brother's gonna get murdered.
That's correct. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
So-
take them all, kids.
I do think there was growth in that. I think the second son had some
The
growth.
sucking son.
Do I think it was significant? Do I think it was like world shattering?
No.
But I think he was a different person. He was a different person
I agree.
because his lessons he took from the Water Tribe
Helped him
helped him save
survive
his
and
father,
save his father.
and he redeemed the whale, the
Correct.
big fish. He redeemed the big fish in the eyes of his father, and he was.
I don't think the father gave a fuck about the whale. It was just how the rest of the tribe felt about him and
Right,
the whale.
but I mean,
It's like, I don't give a fuck if you fuck a whale.
the lessons he learned through the show showed at the end.
I suppose.
And I
agree
think
with that.
if
It's
that's
definitely his movie.
yeah, if that's all that happened, I mean, you have too many main characters in this film. First
I
of all.
wouldn't
You
say
do.
that.
I think so.
I think so.
You have Sigourney Weaver's daughter. You have Jake. You have
Sigourney
Natiri.
Weaver, which is Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, yeah. You have baby Sigourney Weaver, baby Weaver, baby Weaver.
Groot.
Yeah. You have Kiri. You have Jake, and you have Natiri.
You have Quidditch.
You have Quidditch.
Quidditch.
You have Spider is a main character.
Somehow.
Yeah. And then the 4 kids.
And then you have the 4 kids. Then you have Dr. Garvin. Obviously, he's important.
Obviously. Yeah.
His character had, I think,
Who has the harpoon now?
I think that his character had 6 lines in the film.
Oh,
that
yeah.
that also made almost no sense to me. How did they not kill that whale? They were just shooting and shooting. He shot. Stuff was bouncing off him like.
Oh, it's armored on top.
There was a
Oh, they did
line.
mention that.
There was a previous
You have to
line
get
to
under
what
it.
you're talking about, where they said they don't fight back, but they are hard to kill. So it's like they do say that in advance.
Okay.
So they do explain it beforehand. But I do think that there are too
You
many
know,
main characters. in this
Jermaine
film.
Clement?
Jermaine Clement.
He
Oh.
sings Moon Man. Goodbye, Moon Man.
Goodbye.
From Rick and Morty.
That is funny.
What band is that again? I can't remember.
That's a band?
Yeah,
It's
they
not
do.
just some guys
I
in
think
the
it's- I
garage
think it's-
memeing
I
during
think
Rick and
it-
Morty
well, I
rolling.
think it's just 2 main guys, but
Oh,
Flight of the Conchords. That's what it was.
I actually, the second time watching it, I do think the CGI was I think we're gonna look back in 20 years and say this was good CGI.
I think so.
Well, I
It
mean,
was-
The Lord of
it
the
was-
Rings still holds up, and that's 20 years ago.
But I mean, even that CGI was mixed in so aggressively with practical effects.
Yeah, where this is all.
all CGI. It did look like a good movie.
You can take another movie with the same budget today, put the same amount of time into it, same amount of effort into it, and the CGI will look like trash. James Cameron's
Same amount of money? No.
same amount of money. Yep. I think James Cameron does CGI well.
He does. I agree with that.
I think he understands it. A good director should always understand it. Because then you get...
Yeah, you can't not understand the media. You can't under. You
Where
can't-
people just shoot a movie like a regular
Get fucked.
movie, and then they send some shit over to the CGI guys. It's like, well, I can't really work with this.
Yeah, it's not enough. But I mean,
But this is all shot on a fucking stage, and everyone's in mocap and whatnot, so...
this is definitely gonna. But my point is, this is definitely good CGI, right?
Yeah.
And
No,
the
I get
visuals
that.
are beautiful. There were some moments in this story that made me laugh, like when Took was abducted a second time. She's like, I can't believe I'm tied up
I get
again.
tied up again.
That made, I think, most people in the
That was-
audience laugh,
yeah.
Yeah, even if it was a quick chuckle. There's everything you want from a good fantasy action movie's here. I don't know what it's missing that people are hung up on. I mean, the stuff that are
Generic story, and then it's a replay of the first one.
That's
it's a continuation. It doesn't feel like a replay to me.
Jake... Okay, so it's the family now that goes to a village and has to adopt their way of life, and ends up fighting the humans off because they're fucking with something that that the Na'vi holds precious. It's the same movie.
Well, it was actually it was almost not even the Na'vi. The Na'vi were almost a non-starter because I only saw the Na'vi kill one person, and that was the chief who threw the spear. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was a small handful of people. Jake's family could have killed that entire ship on their own
they might as well.
They
have.
basically did.
with the help of the whale. Yeah, they could have handled the
The
whole
army just
freaking.
fucks off.
They really do.
And
I don't know
kills
where they
0 people.
So I'm gonna say that the military assistance of the rest of the Na'vi characters didn't carry any weight in this film at all. It didn't seem to, at least to me. Additionally, it wasn't the way of life that they were attacking. It was exclusively the main character and his family. It was hostage situation after hostage situation after hostage situation.
It was.
Jake Sully, they were fucking with the water people's way of life.
Well, they went looking for them, but I mean, even the looking for them was pretty inconsequential. I mean, besides the burning of the homes and the killing of their pet dog, Fish. Besides that, I
They
mean,
say in the movie it's like killing a sibling.
yeah, I mean,
And they can talk, so...
yeah,
Well, the whale
talk.
can.
Okay, we
I
need
hated that scene where they're all reminiscing. Like all the
We-
whales come back and they're
we
all
need to
just
expand
bullshitting
on,
with each other.
We do need to expand on this. The whales are a problem because they are hard to kill.
They're smarter than people.
They're smarter than people.
emotional, more
They're
spiritual.
They're more spiritual. They understand philosophy and they compose
Mathematics.
songs.
And mathematics. Don't
Where?
forget
How
that.
would you know that? Are they putting it on display somewhere?
I'm envisioning a giant whale orchestra. And
I think they
hate that.
I think they're playing
I hate
dumber.
that.
I think they're playing dumber when they come back to the Na'vi. But when they go on their migration, they go to like some like 5-star resort stuff.
Yeah, that they built under the water.
Exactly.
But we need to
Table-
discuss the whales.
Table for 2?
They are a problem in this story.
Oh my
and
god, that Na'vi chick just doesn't shut the fuck up.
oh, I come here just to sleep. I've been riding the waves for 3 years, and I just want to come back, sit down with my baby dolphin, and just chill. But she's like doing sign language
She's
at me.
singing to me.
She's doing sign language. I just want her to leave me the fuck alone.
It's
So
like the
I-
Na'vi are their pets.
Well, they're smarter than them,
Yeah,
so
they're
I mean,
smarter, so
wow,
they're
that's
God.
so the I think that they're going to be an issue in the next movie too, because the
They
Na'vi
even
are
come
going to
back.
be. What's that?
they might just throw it away.
Well, it's. I mean, they
You
seem
gotta
to
move
put a
on
lot
to
of
the-
weight.
You gotta move on to the next element.
Yeah.
This one was the way of water.
We got water,
But
we got
this-
tree, we got
The
fire.
in the first movie, the unobtainium's funding the whole trip. In the second movie, the alien brain whale goo is
Yeah.
funding the whole
Key
trip.
to immortality.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was pretty cheap.
There's gonna be the literal
Yes.
holy grail of
80
Jesus Christ
80
in
mil
the
for that
frick.
big bottle.
What 80 mil for that vial?
Of
but
for
like,
immortality.
they also didn't say like, oh, this could be for one person.
'Cause
They
you-
didn't say anything.
Well, yeah, and you gotta account for inflation. How far are we into the future?
Oh, and how long does it take for that one bottle of goo to make it to Earth,
That could
too?
be like 10 grand.
By the time you get back, the market's so oversaturated with immortals.
Yeah.
You used to have to collect the 7 Dragon Balls to get that wish. Now you
Yeah.
just have to kill one
It's
whale.
like that little, that's
Easy.
it's like that short in Love, Death, and Robots,
Love, Death, Robots.
where everyone's immortal now and they're just cracking down on people having babies. That's probably why they're leaving Earth.
Oh, love that movie. Yeah, Love, Death, and Robots is a good recommendation to watch. Not for the weak of heart or the easily triggered, but but it is a great,
But the rest
great
of us.
show. Plus, they're easy to digest. I mean, Taylor, have you seen Love, Death, Robots?
I've only seen an episode or two. I haven't dove into them.
You don't need to deep dive. If you've seen 1 episode, 2 episodes, you understand the premise. They're not linear stories.
No,
they're not
it jumps around a lot.
And the longest one I've seen, I think, is 20 minutes. So I mean, they're
Oh,
all
short then.
They're super short. The shortest I think
really
is
short.
4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
My goodness.
6 minutes maybe.
It's
But
probably the pudding one or whatever it was. They left the world up to pudding.
pudding.
Yeah.
The ones I watched was the robots after humanity died. It was animated, and they're all talking to each other about human objects.
Yep.
That was just really funny.
I enjoyed the hell out of that show. I mean, there's we're not going to get into that. That's probably a topic for another day, but I mean, when it comes to Avatar, what do you guys think the next movie? I mean, seriously, what do you think the next movie will be about?
They're gonna go to another tribe. They're gonna have to assimilate, and they're gonna fight off the humans.
Do you think they're just gonna keep copying and pasting?
Yep.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Is probably what they're thinking.
I think it's broke now.
It does seem.
I think it was broke in 2009
I actually
when I
love.
was 15.
I think I gave the same score to the first movie. I think that there are stories that are fundamental. You
Yeah.
have base level stories. I think that the reason they have found their momentum with this franchise, to the extent that they have, obviously it's a failure by box office numbers now. Hopefully
For
this
now.
weekend it'll recover. But I think that this movie has caught onto something. It's that in today's movies you don't have any good stories. You only have messages. And this movie had, I think, a good story, even if it's one that's been told before, maybe even told before too many times. Maybe it's the wrong premise to match the storyline up with. But the story itself is fundamental. It's a good fundamental story. If it's applied incorrectly, I think that's where you see a lot of issues.
I think we've seen so much shit over the past couple of years that it's elevating what you think of the story.
You think rose-colored glasses?
Yeah, kind of thing.
I'm trying to be aware of that. The second time through, it just reinforced my thought process. It didn't reveal anything. In fact, it took the issues I had with this movie and muted them a little bit, because the issues I had with this movie were the stupid fucking talking whales, the
I'm glad
mediocre,
we're back to whaling.
the mediocre. Yeah, let's.
Let's start that up again.
Fuck you, Darby.
I'm looking at whales here on Earth in a totally different light now.
If you are smart, you're a
If
problem.
you're so smart, you wouldn't get speared.
Yeah,
so.
quit being an inconvenience to my
Just
way of life.
swim deeper, asshole.
I think if you can sit down and not have a 12-year expectation on it, and just go in there, maybe wait till it comes out so you can sit at home and have a drink or two with it, and just enjoy the movie for what it is, and not start poking holes in it like I did. You can sit down and enjoy it and have fun with it.
I gotta.
This movie would be a
think-
blast on shrooms.
I think you can enjoy it if you sit down and just watch it and take it as it is.
Well, I think that
That's what I tried to do my first time going into it, just shutting off.
turn off your brain.
Turn off
Any
my brain
hole
and see if I
poking
can-
like I was doing.
Yeah, because the first thing I got right away was the environmental message, and then the whaling message, which is like, nobody fucking whales anymore except for
A
some
very-
Asian
I didn't even
countries.
get to that. I couldn't stop thinking, how is nobody getting shot?
These bullets suck.
These are terrible bullets.
I'm
When
so
Jake
used to
Sully
blood
fires
over
it, he
that.
can blow up trains. He can blow up
He
airships.
shoots
And
one bullet and blows a whole train up, and no one can shoot a dumb fish jumping out of the water.
I think Spider's character is. Do you think Spider's character is in there for the youth audience? Because I don't know who he's there for.
I had no idea.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't need to be there. You could put generic human scientist C into this storyline,
Yeah.
and maybe Natiri hates him. Maybe Natiri hates
Well, yeah.
the scientist.
Everything they set up with
Instead of-
Spider ended up being like a non-issue. Like Okay, Neytiri thinks he should be with his kind. Okay, that doesn't really play any part throughout the whole movie. Him being like to pull at the heartstrings of Quidditch, that doesn't really end up being a thing.
There's no payoff in that.
Zero.
So, yeah, there's no payoff on anything with that kid.
Because he didn't go with his father. He should have went with his
If it-
father.
then
and
it
then I
would've
would have been
been
like, boom, perfect.
It would have meant something.
He should have went with his father.
But that
Because he
child
saved his
is
father.
yeah, that
You know-
child is pointless.
I caught something in this one that I actually was really astounded by the first time I watched it, and it was wrong. When they have that hostage situation with Spider, and Neytiri's got him by the knife, and she cuts him, I thought the cut was on his throat, and I was like,
So did
what
I.
the hell?
I thought it was too. I thought, oh,
And then you
she
look,
killed him.
and then yeah, I thought that too, and I thought that would have been a banger of a freaking.
That would
That
have.
would have
That
been
would've been
huge.
something, yeah.
That would have been a dark moment. That would have been Quidditch going insane, and obviously the like
One of those two should have happened. She should have killed him.
Or
he should have survived, and then like the next one, it's on.
And I wanna,
I'm done with you guys.
And I want to clarify: no one here is advocating for the murder of children. Okay, I spoke too soon. But yeah, I agree that. But you see that it's actually across the chest.
Yep.
It wasn't across the throat, and that's something I saw the second time. But the first time I saw it, and it was engraved in my brain. I was like, "What the hell?" And how did that not kill him? Because my understanding of the human neck is that you don't have to.
You want 0 cuts on it.
You want 0 cuts on it. It's
that
not
bad
a,
boy needs to be cut free.
That guy needs. Yeah, that was not a character deserving of cut. He was definitely not a character who's like. I also brought this up. The baby on Pandora made no damn sense to me because they had been there for a while, long enough for children to grow
you
up,
mean
for
Spider?
schools to be. Yeah, the spider should not have been on Pandora, and that doesn't make any sense to me because children have grown up, schools have been built, destroyed, and remembered. You have science that has happened. You have Quidditch has been there the whole time. It
Quidditch
seems.
basically would have had to have banged someone at the beginning or during the first movie.
Yeah.
Basically, you would have had to.
He would have had to.
And he's a
have
colonel on a military base. That's not fucking okay.
right.
It's not like he can just go around doing. I don't know the ins and outs of military life, but it's my understanding that senior officers are not supposed to go around fucking their subordinates. That's my understanding of military life. Correct me in the comments. Just
Please.
No, there's a word for it. I just can't think of it now.
But Spider should not have been there in the first
No.
place. I don't remember him being in the first movie. There's no reference to him that I know
Wasn't.
of. So he's completely a made-up character into this second story.
It seemed forced.
It felt so forced.
Well, let's do a little research on Champion here, see if he knows any producers.
Well, he was boy on bike in Avatar Endgame, or I'm sorry, in Avengers Endgame. There's the Avatar cartoon, there's Avatar the movie, then there's Avengers, and they're all the fucking same. Impossible to know which is which. Well,
That dude's 5'4". Oh, you poor bastard.
oh dear
Is he
God,
an adult?
you can't.
Well, he's a boy on bike.
18.
Oh, so yeah.
Oh,
He's an
I
adult.
know who he is. I know who he is in Endgame. When Ant-Man comes back, he's walking down the street, and there's vines across all the houses, and a boy on bike goes past Ant-Man. He's like, "Boy on bike, what happened here?" And the boy doesn't even have a line. He doesn't say anything. He just it just runs on. Just bike continues
Aw.
pedaling on like he didn't remember that a Hiroshima nuke just went off.
Went
and
off
it was like-
everywhere.
I don't want to explain to you the natural disaster of half the humanity getting finger snapped
Yep.
away from the world.
That was a good roll.
Cheers to our boy Thanos. Big shout out to Thanos.
He did a good job.
You did everything you were supposed to do. You went out like a champ.
Yep. You should have got boy on bike though.
You should have got boy on bike. That would have been a trade-off we could have taken.
We
'cause
would've
then he
took that.
wouldn't have been in this fucking nightmare of a movie.
Exactly.
What's
Do you
the
think? Do you think Spider might have worked better if it was a better actor?
I don't know.
No.
The premise of the character seems flawed to me.
Yeah, it
That's
does,
it.
but-
It's not the character. He did
The acting.
fine. He did an acting job.
Yeah, I mean, as a human doing Navi things, yeah, it just comes off as fucking.
He would have
weird.
instantly solved it for me if he would have either got killed or went with his father.
One thing I was really glad about is that when Spider was
Yeah,
captured
it's justified, yeah.
and they
Exactly.
see him again with the Marines, they didn't immediately go, "You told them where we are." I was really glad that didn't happen.
I didn't even think about that.
Because I thought they were just going to be like resentful of Spider. You
Well,
know,
he
I
wouldn't-
thought
Why
that's what was
wouldn't
gonna
they
happen.
be?
He wouldn't have known anyway. Because
No.
he's never been to that water.
Right, right. But I just thought that
But it was
these
implied-
kids misunderstanding situations
Right.
and
Well,
it-
Yeah.
Jake implied it when they were at the Forest place that he knows everything about their operations and whatnot.
Mhm.
But-
So-
So that's why they left.
right.
Yep. And so,
Which he was right. He basically let him do them.
Right.
but the kids first, Spider and the kids first line to each other was when they were on the deck after
Mhm.
they got abducted a second time.
These
These kids don't know how to not get kidnapped. They're just saying, I've got my whole life not been kidnapped once. Just saying
It's like 4 or 5 times in this
4 or
movie.
5 times in the course of 6 months.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's-
thanks for bringing that up.
So it's
What
summer.
the hell is the timeline on this thing? Because it looks like when you're watching the family, it looks like there's a lot more time passing because they're obviously learning the ways of the water. And when you're watching the Marines, it's like a week or so goes by. It
Yeah,
seems
so-
like a lot more time passes for the Na'vi than it does for the human.
Well, I think it's a season. I think it's a summer.
So it's a whole year?
No,
I
a
think it's
summer. I think
Okay.
I think it's a summer. And I got nothing to base this on. There's no calendar in this movie, so we don't
Yeah.
have any fact to reference. But it makes sense to me that it'd be a summer.
But I'm assuming, yeah, they don't learn all the diving techniques in a week and are able to do all that shit.
That's my 2 cents. But I also think that it took Jake, a season or a few like
Whatever you want to
3
call it,
days?
yeah.
was it? No, it was not. 3
I don't
days.
remember exactly.
It was months actually, because it's like we need
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
yeah,
under
there's-
this tree in a couple of months, digging it up and mining all this shit. Is from like the
Well,
premise
yeah,
of the
and
first
they-
movie.
and
We
they
have a
have-
few months to pull this off.
They do have that montage and shit too, where he's learning the
Where
ways,
he's
and his
learning.
hair is getting long and blah blah. blah. So yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So I
They
think
do
that,
have that.
Okay.
if we're gonna base it on that, it's probably a similar timeline.
I'd say
Probably.
so.
I would
this
say-
movie is the exact same.
Yeah. So I guess rolling into final thoughts, we'll start with Taylor and just final thoughts.
I would like you guys did, to go watch it again and sit down, maybe when it comes out of the theaters, and just
Get
sit
drunk
down
and
and
watch it.
exactly take it as it is, not cling on to the human side, and just enjoy it. I think I would enjoy it, but there was just too many plot holes for me. Not plot holes, but plot armor. There was characters that didn't need to be in there. I could give it a 6.5 out of 10, and if I could sit down and enjoy it, I'd probably raise it a whole point. But right now, it's tough to watch for me.
You've said it a couple of times, but just for other people's sake, can you real quick, just explain plot armor?
Plot armor is when your good guys just, for some reason, can't get hurt, killed to along your plot. I mean, they were running around the ship, getting shot at by these Marines who've been Marines their whole life, thousands of guns shooting at them, big. One guy got hit, like you said. You said that guy's fish guy. He didn't
His
get hit.
fish got hit, and he
Yeah.
got flung.
No one got hit, and it's like, we don't know these Na'vi. They're not even from the first movie. Like I said, we don't need to see the whole tribe get wiped out, but
There should be some cost.
yes, this should cost them something too. It didn't cost them a thing.
All right.
Well, was it really a military ship though, or was it more of a whaling ship?
Well, it was a whaling ship, but they all had guns.
Yeah.
That whole military guys who've been Marines their whole life, they didn't hit a person.
Another point to just kind of the explanation of nerfing the Marines is they've been Marines in human bodies the whole time. I wonder if there's any issues with.
No, it's supposed to be an advantage.
It's supposed to be an advantage, but
Them being blue and having the military training.
yeah, I think you're right.
Because they say that.
I-
What's
yeah,
his
he
name?
says that,
Quidditch
Mike.
says it. He's like, well, now we're in there. We got every bonus we never had before, and our training.
And they all died.
And
at the
they
end of this
didn't
film.
hit
Not
a
one
single
lived.
bullet.
Yeah, they still sucked.
I'm
I'm a better shot.
Cody, final thoughts?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10. A little bit more boring the second time around, but we also went to it kind of early in the day. I was sleepy. But yeah, no, my biggest problem is that it is a rehash of the first movie, basically. The only thing that elevates it is the family dynamic.
And the talking whales were great.
Yeah, you love
and
the talking whales,
fucking-
Taylor. We
They
know.
taste delicious.
All right. I
But
guess.
yeah, I don't really have much to say about it.
So I guess my final thoughts on this. I'm cemented into an 8. I do think that I'm right. But I see your point. The second time you watch it, it was more boring. but I did notice the things that bothered me were muted. They didn't matter as much, but there were definitely big problems with this movie that did not get reconciled, and I think really held it back. The whales were a big problem. Spider was a problem, but I think the acting, the story, the message, or I'm sorry, not the message, the theme that was in it. I think the quality of the film itself was good.
What was the message? Don't kill whales?
I didn't hear that.
Oh.
I didn't hear that. If anything, I am more motivated to kill whales than I've ever
We're
been.
taking up a new
I have
hobby,
never
guys.
been so inspired to murder whales in my entire life. I don't like that they talk. I don't like that they know how to do orchestras.
Well, like I said, after
And
the first
mathematics.
viewing, I was
Mathematics and philosophy. I hate it.
I was kind of okay with them, like, kind of understanding each other. But as soon as they put the subtitle on the screen with the whale talking, I was like, "What the fuck?"
That was a problem, and that's what that's what I'm pointing to. It's a problem.
And he knows sign language.
But I think that
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have fucking hands.
Why would they?
Yeah. How do you understand them through their?
But I do think that rose-colored glasses. It's possible I'm applying that to this, but I do think that for the reasons I've stated are valid. I think all of those are valid. I don't think there was any debate about whether or not they're valid or not. And I think that for those reasons, I'm going to give it a higher score of 8. Would I watch it a third time? No. But I mean, would I? Do I think
I
it's
might
worth?
like
Would I
2
recommend
years
it?
before the
A little bit before the next one, yeah.
Would I recommend it? Yes, I would recommend it.
Only in theaters though.
Only in theaters.
Or
This
if
is
you got
not
a
a
home
movie.
theater.
If you have a home theater, you have to have a pretty nice fucking home theater system for this to be justifiable 3 hours with family.
I'm kind of interested how the 3D works out.
That could be interesting to know. But we're gonna wrap it up there. We will try to get another episode in by next week, so we will see you guys after the holidays. Merry Christmas and God bless,
Peace.
See ya.
fuckers.
I'm still recording.
Me too. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. He is.
Oops.
It looks like that. Hey guys, Talks Too Much with Third Party Studios. Thank you for joining us on our pilot episode of the Third Party Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. I know we had a lot of fun making it. While you wait for the next episode, check out the other videos on our channel like the Lack of Skill series, where Slim does playthroughs and analysis on older games, and where I try to bring you a few laughs on my videos. Coming soon, we have the second episode of Slim's Dead Space series and my first video contribution to the Lack of Skill series, where I'll be playing CSGO. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, so you don't miss out on the next video, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys there. Peace.